Hello there. So, if you or someone you love has ever experienced burnout, you know that it can be a long road back to health and stability and just emotional balance, right? So, that's what today's topic is about, is that burnout is not just about doing too much. It's really about what happens to your body, your energy field, and your nervous system when you've been carrying way more than you were meant to carry. Excuse me. And I think that for a lot of women, we realize that the way we've been living is functional, but it's not necessarily optimal or not a way that is supporting your health and your longevity and the best version of yourself for whatever it is that you're showing up for, whether it's for your corporate job, your business, your family. When we are on the precipice of burnout or we're already in burnout, we have to acknowledge that the way that we're doing things is not sustainable. It's not going to allow us to really show up and and be there for ourselves, which is often hard to admit, and also the people that we love. So, a lot of people like to treat burnout like it's a time management problem. We have to be more efficient. We can develop greater consistency, greater use of our time. And what I've realized and found in my practice with most high achieving women is that this isn't really the case because high achieving women are typically very intelligent and very smart, and they use their time wisely. They are very consistent with, for example, their schedule, their supplements, oftentimes their diet. But here's where the problem often lies. It goes deeper than the physical, deeper than the things that are day to day. So, with the recent Virgo eclipse that we've experienced, it's highlighted for all of us on the planet this eh, um, our day to day. It has made us more aware of what our body needs are, what our habits might be, particularly around sleep and around the pace that we're keeping in our day to day, whether that's our home life or our corporate job or our business, as I say, or even in our relationships. We have been shown that there are things in our life that are not working for us. So if you're not sure what this is, I want you to just take a moment right now and think back over the course of the past week. And a lot of times it's better if we can just take a breath, close our eyes, and just come into the moment for a minute so that it's not our mind showing us necessarily the answer to the question we're asking, but it's coming more from our gut, our visceral body, our heart, and just asking the question, what is it that needs to change in my life? Um, and just being quiet for a minute and allowing whatever it is to rise into your consciousness to rise up. And it could be a feeling, it could be a thought, it could be an image, a word, it could be something that happened to you that you're reminded of, or something that's been just weighing heavy on your mind that you're having a hard time to forget or let go of. Just jot it down. Don't get attached to it, but just pay attention to it because it probably has some validity to it. Now, I want to go back to what the real problem is because a lot of women in burnout, in high level positions, they just think that they need to push themselves harder or that they need more discipline. They need to get more organized. Um, they need to handle stress better. The last one is probably true. But sometimes it's not any of these things. It's really about your nervous system. Your nervous system has taken a beating and a hit, either chronically, day after day after day after day. This grinding on the the nervous system, or it could be that you had a traumatic event and you didn't resolve the energetic imprint of that or the impact that it had on your physical body, and it just keeps reverberating throughout your life and your field, and you're wondering like, why am I constantly feeling exhausted? Why am I constantly feeling as though I'm repeating a similar pattern? Why am I constantly finding myself in relationships repeating the same things? And oftentimes it is this, it's unresolved issues in the nervous system itself that is struggling because you have not been able to recognize it, or you haven't been given the tools to really understand what to do with this information or this situation that you experienced or the situation you're in currently that is causing your nervous system to be constantly in a state of fight or flight. We cannot heal. We cannot heal our emotions. We cannot heal our physical body, and we cannot become better, high achieving entrepreneurs or better moms if we do not address the underlying issue that is going on with our nervous system. I also want to mention that there are physical things that happen or life stages that we move through, such as uh, puberty and menopause, or birthing a baby, or stepping into a new phase of a job that we're not necessarily familiar with. These different things can all contribute to and attribute to a nervous system gas pedal that gets stuck and continues to cause you and your physical body to spin out of control. So, which eventually ends or results in a phase of burnout. And I just want to say that burnout doesn't have to last forever. There are ways to support your body deeply and efficiently and effectively in a short amount of time every day to keep yourself out of burnout or to catch yourself and kind of reverse and unwind this. I think the real problem comes from, and I am living proof of this pattern, is that when we keep going and we ignore this idea that we are heading like a freight train towards burnout. And once we're in burnout, it really gets more difficult to repair the body, to help soothe the mind and calm the nervous system and nourish the heart, the emotional heart, when we are already in burnout because we have so little reserve left, right? And for me, I guess for the purpose of this video today, I'm going to define burnout as kind of a how full or empty is your tank? How much reserve do you have left? And one way to measure this reserve is if one more thing lands on your desk or one more thing lands in your plate, how do you respond uh, and just to react to this. Are you responding or reacting, right? I think back to when I was definitely in burnout, when I was burning the candle at both ends of the stick. I was working nights, working days, and I had young children that were, 2, 3, 4 years old and 7 or 8 years old. And not only was I burning the candle at both ends, working days and nights, trying to be there for my children, but I was going through a major life transition, right? So what I realized looking back is that it was really difficult to be present. It was really difficult to respond. Everything was a reaction because one little deviation from what I had in my mind as the mental picture of how things were supposed to go would completely obliterate my ability to be um, emotionally balanced, we'll say, or emotionally resilient in those circumstances. And it's not an easy thing to admit or acknowledge, right? Because I wanted to be a better mom. I wanted to be a better consultant to my clients. I wanted to be a better nurse. And I couldn't understand or acknowledge because I was stretched to the max and there was so little room what it was. What was the key thing that was going to unlock this and allow me to um, respond better in those circumstances? So, defining burnout, it's like how much is on your plate so that if one more thing is asked of you, or one thing comes out of the that picture of how things are supposed to roll in your mind, how do you react or respond? You know, assess that yourself silently inside, on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 being completely out of control, and 0 is it doesn't phase you in the least, and you just roll with it and you flow with it. This is a good indication of how close to burnout you are. um, we normalize these things, right? I used to just normalize the fact that I was reactive because I was working so much or because I had so much responsibility. And the real change comes when we can acknowledge that the power to change lies inside of us. Like, it's not just to recognize it, that's just the first step. The second step is to either seek help or make a decision on your own as to what are some small things that you can tweak and change so that you can support that nervous system in healing, so that it can decompress, so that that gas pedal can get unstuck and you can start to receive, because that's what happens really when we have a nervous system um, burnout, is the gas pedal gets stuck and we cannot receive, and this is not sustainable long term. So um, I think that right now we are being called to understand ourselves better as women, because we have, each and every single one of us, man or woman, has a unique element or gift that they are being called to recognize and contribute out into the world right now so that our world can change. And so we have a birthright and an emotional responsibility, and an overarching responsibility to show up right now and to contribute. And so in order to do that, we have to recognize if our nervous system is in survival mode and we are on this freight train, um, heading towards burnout. Because when we are on the freight train and when we finally arrive at the station of burnout, we cannot access these gifts and share them with the world. And that's really the big message here today, is that there's a call forward to take a look at our day to day. Is the day to day sustainable? And if not, what parts are not sustainable? Because we cannot answer the call, that deeper call of our spirit, of our soul, if we are not able to recognize the things in our life that are not sustainable for us, because those things do not support us, not our health, not our mental well-being, not our emotional well-being, and certainly not our spiritual well-being, not at the soul level. And working at soul level is going to become more and more important as the year progresses. So that's your first action today. And the second is to really listen to your body, really acknowledge and be honest with yourself. Right now, don't just recognize it, but then be honest with yourself and invite in the question. Ask yourself the question: what small change can I make on a day to day basis that will move me in the right direction, or pivot or turn that freight train just a little bit, um, so that it's not heading at full speed directly towards the station of burnout? And um, there are so many small little incremental things that we can do to bring ourselves uh, into a greater state of balance, that we can tweak that direction of that freight train. Some of them include breath work, some of them include walking in nature, meditation, saying no, reassessing our boundaries, drinking more water in an average day, taking a look at our nutrition, and holding boundaries around. We often think of them in relationships, but boundaries that support ourselves. So, if you're going to stop work at 5 o'clock, stop work at 5 o'clock. Um, so, I want to just end with the the reaffirming that when you're in this state, in this space, that it's not about trying harder. It really, really isn't, because for years I tried harder and stayed on that freight train heading towards burnout. It is about going deeper inside yourself and really being honest with yourself about what you need, what would be ideal for you. What would help you feel as though you are not in survival mode anymore? Let me know in the comments. What do you currently do to help you stay out of burnout? What do you do to support your nervous system? And do you do it consistently, day to day? Just curious. Let me know. Let's have a conversation so that we can shift this among ourselves and really contribute to improving the quality of life here on this beautiful planet